They want us to think that we're an insignificant speck of dust, but let me tell you, we are so much more than dust in the wind.
At least 4 billion useless eaters will be eliminated by the year 2050.
I'm still waiting for somebody to show me gas pressure without a container.
I personally don't believe anything they say, right down to the God they claim they worship.
None of the math adds up.
You could stack up all their math books, all their science books, and even put all their degrees stacked up on top of that, and you still wouldn't be high enough to see the curvature.
This is exactly why grounding is so important.
We see too far.
We're just regular people who know we're being lied to. We're tired of it.
The bottom line is, there's only one choice left, and that's to dismantle this whole thing from the top down. Start off by telling everybody who you are and I guess what you do. I mean, I know you talk about a lot of things, but we're up to talk about anything, as we said. So what's most important for you to start off with, or whatever, man? Let's just do it. Let's jump into it.
Well, I go by Band Notice. I'm an independent researcher of various different topics throughout the years. I started out with 9/11 Truth. But even before that, I was like into sort of spiritual and religious questions and things like that. And I'd say that kind of primed me for, anytime you have an idea that's a little bit out there, people kind of look at you with like shock. And so, I had that happen to me with religion, with politics, with flat earth. So it gets to a point where you're like, oh, you're surprised by what I say. Like, I've never heard that before. So you kind of get immune to it. And, for me, it's like, I try to stay positive and I want the truth and I'm kind of a loner, but, I like the company and, I wouldn't want, to not be part of a society. Like, I'm not one of those, run into the woods kind of guy, but I sort of do my own thing, so yeah, that's kind of me. I would say I'm definitely an independent researcher. I have no ties to anything, no government, everything's just my own personal opinions.
And when did you start waking up to this kind of stuff? I know you said 9/11, but was it when it happened or was it, a couple years later? How did it happen?
Well, it actually started in about 2003 when I was in college. I had to do this report on a religious topic and I picked meditation. And it was kind of funny because the teacher was this like feminist and she was like, maybe you could do why the Amish reject vaccines. And like at the time I didn't really get it. And now I could look back and I'm like, wow, she was super liberal. But anyway, I picked meditation and honestly, I mean, in college, I was in a fraternity, so we kind of drank a lot.
Was it Skull and Bones? No, I'm just kidding.
No, it was, well, I can't say it, but
No, okay, that's
it was,
No.
well, if you guys haven't been in a fraternity,
You
you're just
wanna
not
dox him,
supposed to
man.
We're just
you
messing
know,
with you,
say
man.
it. Okay.
Oh, Rufus is here. Let's drop him in. So yeah,
So-
so I was just messing with you. Go ahead.
But I mean, there are dangers to that. Is we drank a lot, and I was probably addicted to alcohol at the time. And the first time I started meditating, I felt this feeling of like detachment from the addiction. And so I was like, wow, that was like, first time doing it, and you get that feeling. And I kept pursuing it. And around 2006 is when my friend told me about 9/11, and he was sort of on edge. He was a little bit into like the paranoia. And my first response to him was like, dude, you don't need this in your life. Like it's negative energy.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I wasn't afraid of truth. And so I looked into it and, then that kind of like started the journey, going through like Alex Jones and, In 2016, I was part of the alt right that supported Trump. And, I go through a lot of different groups, and it's not that any one group has the truth. It's you have to kind of pick up little bits
Right.
from every group. And
I
that,
fully agree with that.
Yep.
and the problem though is sometimes those groups kind of are at odds with each other. So it's like, you know, flat Earth doesn't like Q. Q doesn't like flat Earth. Like, you know, Q doesn't like the anti-Zionist. So it's like all these groups that, in theory, should be all on one team are constantly fighting with each other.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
find that's kind of it's kind of ridiculous too because I know a lot of us that come from the same place, in some sort of way, right? And we're all looking for the truth, but yeah, like you said, each of these groups and all that, they find these truths and they latch on to like one or two, head people in it that may or may not have intel, right? And they just start latching on to that and spreading it, and it spreads quicker than it could be vetted, you know. I find that a lot. And so therefore when we meet up on the main stage and we're all going at it, it's like, well, no, I know this guy that this said, well, no, you just listen to him. That's all you have. You have nothing, and it kind of defeats the purpose of what we're doing. It's almost like we'd be better off having our own separate groups and everybody, kind of pick and choose what they believe or what they want to look into, you know what I mean? Research from a different group and find out for themselves. But that's where I'm at
Yeah,
now.
that's why I guess my solution is the individual group is just your individual self. As long
Yeah.
as you get invited along and tag along to the party, which is why like you guys having like you guys have a band, right?
Yeah.
4 member rock band, but that's awesome. Like that,
We
that
kind of
means a
did, yeah.
lot, and that
Oh, it
like
helps.
Yeah, it
mhm,
definitely helps.
and that helps like just kind of remind you, that somebody else is out there like thinking on your level.
Yeah, there's people that I agree with on a lot of stuff, and there's other stuff I don't agree with them on, and there's people that I agree with on very little, but I still agree with them on that. I don't want to like argue with them about things I don't agree with them on. I want to talk and grow on the things that we do agree on because eventually we'll all get there. It's just people are finding it at different times. So I don't hate somebody who's like my brother is way further behind than I am, but he knows something's wrong and he's on the case. He's not fully a flat earther yet, but he knows shit's bad. So he's looking around and I'm not going to hate on him because of that. Like if you can find anything in common with somebody, I try to look at it this way. If the government one day really decided to turn on all the citizens, would you ask the person in the trench with the gun next to you who they voted for? Like, it doesn't matter at that point, man. You're right there, or if what they think about the shape of the earth, none of that matters as long as we all know that they just try to divide us to make it easier to control us. We need to try to agree on the rest. At least that's how I feel.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's yeah, and like you mentioned your brother, like obviously you wouldn't want to like bully him into believing it because then he didn't like unlock it on his own,
Yeah.
and that creates sort of the same like group think mentality where it's like you have to believe this because I told you rather than because you realized it yourself.
Yep.
Mhm. It's true.
There's
We
some
find that
people who
a lot.
just don't. It's not like their thing. Also, like my brother has looked into flat Earth, and he's like, "Yeah, okay, I see what you're talking about. I don't care." You
Yeah.
know, he's like, "I got other shit to worry about."
Right.
So,
Mm.
Which is
I mean,
fine, but I mean, it's more about the lie, right?
mm,
yeah,
And I think that we have to reiterate that a lot more as whatever we call ourselves, truthers, or trying to
Yeah.
wake people up, or whatever, soldiers. There's so many different names, but like we need to just say, hey, man, like it's about the lie. Like you've been lied to your entire life. I
Yeah.
don't care what it looks like. It don't look like that thing that I'm looking on a TV screen that NASA's telling me I'm
Yeah.
living on. I can tell you that right now. It's not that. It is not that. It doesn't add up.
Rhombus Earth, bro. Rhombus
Yeah,
Earth. I don't
yeah.
care. It doesn't matter what shape it is, man. It's
I get yelled at. Look at the Taurus Earth. You're so off. You look at the Taurus. I'm like, dude, and they're showing me like a curved vortex, and I'm like,
Paper
where's the
towel
curve?
Earth.
Yeah. That one too.
I love
Exactly.
But
I
like
love
all
that
of them
one.
just
Asteroid.
require that that little thing called a curve, and
Yeah.
it's just not there. Like at some point, people just got to be like, okay, maybe they are. Then they're like, well, maybe they're just lying to us about how big it is.
Yeah, maybe it's
Okay.
bigger.
So we don't need a curve. It's just a bigger curve that we can't see, right? Like that's what it is. No, go back
Which
to
would
the
throw
curve.
off all the orbital mechanics if the size was different, everything.
Right.
So
That's the thing. Then
you
it's
can't
still a
just do
lie.
that. But
It's still a lie, but you're just gonna accept that it could be bigger.
Yeah.
And I think we all that's what we're up against. A lot of these people are just,
And
just
I mean, I
plain-
think of it as like, see, this is where I get into trouble because, like, I know the Globers are idiots. I mean, I'm sorry, guys. Like, and also, I will give out one thing of respect because I always respect my enemies.
Yeah.
FTFE, he partially gave me the courage to come here and actually show my face because if he can do it, I have nothing to hide. So I'm not even saying anything about him, about his science or whatever, but you pick up things from everybody and everybody can be useful to you in some way.
you learn way
That
more from
said-
people you don't agree with than you do agree
Yeah.
with. But sorry, go ahead.
With that said, I've kind of stopped worrying about the Globers, because exactly like you guys mentioned, it's always one hoop jumping through another, and you kind of run into that everywhere. And so you try to not pick fights, but you try to question people who are actually smart. But then they're like, "Why are you attacking me, bro?" And it like you think of it as like, I think you're smart enough to talk to, like,
Right.
and that's really the only way we can really become more intelligent is having a bunch of smart people being like, I think this theory, no, that theory's dumb. How about this one? But sometimes you run into problems, because people feel like you're attacking the group or whatever. But that's just my personality. But, my point being is like, yeah, when I feel like a certain group is just not giving me new information anymore, like the Globers, I'm just like, it's time to move on to a different thing. I mean, that's me personally. I'm not saying, you guys or anybody else. And
Yeah.
I started my flat earth journey in 2016-ish. So it's like, I've been doing this for a while.
Mhm.
And I'm like, yeah, I've kind of run into all the arguments, all the like, and there's new things every now and then. Like, I'll just get into this because it's like, I've noticed during the Nada Professor Dave's debate, I think one of the very first points he brought up was the Southern Star Trails. Like the Globers think that this is like some kind of, gotcha that, and I get the, flat earth argument, but the one thing I wish people would introduce is the star trails at the equator. If you guys, somebody could bring that up and post that, like, because now you could say there's maybe some photo manipulation or whatever, but it looks like the stars are kind of bending out this way. And, how would that make sense on a globe Earth? Because according to Not a Professor Dave, he has a person standing on the top of the North Pole and the South Pole, and the Earth is only going in one direction. So the only way you have two rotations if one person's upside down from the other.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can see them curving on the same land, you're not upside down from each other. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
It does.
That's what I mean. We don't know. Again, just looking at anything in the sky and saying that proves the shape of the Earth is not true. Maybe we don't have an answer for what it is, but it doesn't mean it is what you're saying it is, because everything else says that it's not what you're saying it is. So let's figure out what it actually is together. We don't know what it is. At least I don't.
And it's so funny how like they pick such a minute detail, like, oh, this star's doing this, like therefore NASA, and like
It's so
There's
true.
NASA.
There's a ton of
meme.
There's a ton of videos that demonstrate it under a dome, not looking outside in.
Mhm.
The camera's facing up into the dome, and they replicate the exact same thing. There's a ton of those videos. I'm not gonna go look it up every time somebody brings it up.
I know.
Go find
And this
it,
is
dude.
coming from the guy who says he's not sure if there's a dome. So if he's saying that, he's telling you it is possible. For sure.
They're not going to go look because we're wrong right out of the gate, right? They already know we're wrong, and they're in their head. They're just using us to prove to everybody else around them
Right.
that they're smart and they
Right.
know more than us, and we're stupid. That's their whole game. That's it.
I think it's like they latch on to any weakness, and like the Star Trail example, for some reason, like their own audience feels like it's a win, so they keep pushing it. But
Yeah.
I think that just means like there's probably a more solid proof to really just, bash them and say like, that's enough. Like, and you could tell because this is the first thing they bring up in a debate.
Yeah.
Yep. Look at the final experiment. Look how hard they're going on that.
I know. Again, that doesn't prove anything.
Not the
Even
final
if it does come out, it's not an experiment at all.
Right,
actually.
exactly.
It's an observation. But
Of course.
even if it was, it doesn't. It still, which I don't know how it's going to turn out. But even if it does turn out that they claim they see it, it still doesn't prove that we live on a spinning ball. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. But
It doesn't.
They're
Yeah,
not gonna
like,
see a 24-hour sun, dude.
and I'll,
It's not gonna
and I'll
happen.
mention, I like to give respect to my opponents. Like I debated Red's rhetoric, and I won't say anything negative about him, but I feel like he's one of the smarter of the Globers. So I'm glad that I was able to debate him.
Mhm.
But that was one of his premises where it's like he loves to talk about the ISS, and the one thing I'll say he convinced me of is, okay, there's some little thing zipping across the moon.
Correct.
Because you could tell when like they get all excited and they're like, go ahead, call it CGI. Like, okay, I won't call it CGI.
yeah, I know.
Like,
I know.
Yeah, there's something
okay.
up there, dude. Okay.
Yeah, there's something out there. And I even asked him, I'm like, how long does it take to zip by? He's like, 0.4 seconds. So 0.4 seconds is his, platform for his model.
Exactly.
And, even if you ask him, like, what does that have to do with the shape of the earth? Like, nothing. So, okay, like, back to square one.
Yeah.
And, like, those kind of arguments sort of run around in circles. But I think, like, you see those arguments enough, and you're like, all right, now I'm 100% sure the earth's flat.
Yeah.
Like, end of story. And then you move on to something else. That's how I do it, at least. Like, I don't sit around talking about 9/11. Nobody talks about 9/11 because everyone's just accepted there's
Dude,
something.
I just did a 9/11 post today, bro. Why are you calling me out?
I do a
I'm
9/11
not-
post every
I'm not
like
saying
once a
Okay,
month.
but my thing on that is you're still amazed, or you would be amazed at how many people in the comments are like, I've never heard of it. What? Oh my God. My mind, like,
Yeah.
there's
Well,
still some people that are 10 steps back.
There was a
I mean-
third building that fell?
Yeah, that too.
Like, yeah, bro.
I mean, you guys do great. Like, do not change that. What I meant is like how many people really defend the official story.
Oh yeah, you're right. They are out there. I still get them once in a blue moon. Like, but the commission report says, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
and it takes the wind right out of your sails.
Yeah, dude, it's always the Globers, though.
Yeah,
and,
right.
and it's the same guys who are arguing
It's
with you
the
on the
same-
Globe that are
Yeah.
arguing with you on 9/11 and every other thing that you post. It's
They're-
like they're just conspiracy denialists, I guess you could say.
They're
Yeah.
just reality denialists.
Yeah.
But yeah. Like first of all, let's be clear. All a conspiracy is like two or more people planning something together for personal gain. If you don't think those go on, you're an idiot. So just
People
let's not
conspire.
even talk.
They
But
charged. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say before what you were saying before about how some people blah blah blah. But like, I feel like that's one of the major things. What Bill was saying is being able to look at new information and not just go, I'm right, that's wrong. Being like, maybe it sounds crazy to me, but maybe it's right. Let me look at it. And once you make that transition over to let me look at it, it always ends up at a creator. And if you go long enough, it ends up at Flat Earth, always. But it definitely always goes back to a creator because no matter where you look, there's demons everywhere. So, I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that they did charge Trump with a conspiracy. His co-conspirator was a guy named um, Walter Nadine or Natine. He's a U.S. Navy cook. He's basically Trump's butler. So they charged Trump and his butler with a conspiracy. So if anyone says conspiracies don't exist, right?
I was just thinking about that. I was thinking about Conspiracy Smasher, right? And he's like this supposedly this Trump, guy and all that. And I'm
Oh, no,
thinking,
he's
like,
not. He's not.
he's not. So he's just purely fake then, right?
I've run into him before, and he had a picture of like him with a CGI "Make America Great" hat again,
Yeah.
and MAGA hat. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why is that hat CGI? And then he changed his profile, and like I tried talking to him about Trump, and he so sorry.
He's just a straight Fed from the beginning.
People are ridiculous. They're ridiculous. How are they not paid? How are they not?
They are.
Well,
They have to be. I mean,
I
Well,
know.
he's a
I know.
Freemason,
It's
too.
weird to speculate all day, but come
Yeah.
on, man. And this, like some of them are on there like 24/7, just going, and whoever else
Mhm.
jumps in, they continue to go. It's incredible to me. I don't know how they have the time, but maybe they have the money. Some they got one or the other or both. So
And I think of
mean-
it as like, regardless of what's going on there, like if you think of someone as like, and people can do this about me, like pretend I'm a disinfo agent, everything I'm saying is false. But if you look at their behavior and you're like, okay, would a disinfo agent say this? Would they be on the internet 24/7, just throwing chaos into, is the sun glare bad or is that okay?
Looks cool.
It is, guys. The LED sun.
There it is.
No, I mean, like, does this match the behavior of a disinfo agent? Even if it's somebody you know and trust, then you're just like, well, you're picking up this behavior from somewhere. Like, you're my brother. Obviously, I know you're not a disinfo agent, but you're acting like one. And when you're online and everybody's anonymous, then it's like you got to at least make that connection of what is their motivation for doing this, rather than, and if there's a motivation there rather than the truth, then something's up.
yeah, there's definitely not the truth a
Yeah.
lot of times.
I think the real people can actually tell that those guys are disinfo agents, though. And they, contrary to their belief, I think they do more work for our side than they even do for themselves, because people can see right through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some of them could be like parody accounts, that are just like, which I don't believe that, because it kind of causes more confusion, but it is sort of funny. Like, especially when like the comedic parody accounts do their thing, it's kind of harmless, but
Right. There's some of those things,
we know they do it in reverse, where there's like the fake flat earthers. So
Mm-hmm.
they do.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those space accounts, though, man, I'm like, come on, like the Curiosity one and stuff. It's just,
Oh yeah, that one's for sure.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, today I just saw them post a video about, and it was like the caption was like, I can't believe that more people don't know about this. And it was allegedly a video of them landing a rover on one of Saturn's moons. And this looks like the worst video I've ever seen. It looks like a video game, and they're trying to claim that it's real, dude. It's unbelievable.
I don't think they've ever gotten a community note.
no.
Oh
Well,
no, they don't get noted at all.
there was one time that they did, and I can't remember what it was for, but it was something like I was like, okay, maybe we do got some guys on the inside, because this one was a reach just to
I
get
think
them.
Elon got noted on one of the rocket launches, because he posted, look at this picture, and it was a CGI rendering of the rocket.
Yeah. I mean, Elon is like, I feel like he's trolling himself. So he's kind of like a chaotic good character,
I agree. This
Yeah.
version of him, anyway.
Yeah.
I know. Oh, it's so crazy.
But
Where are you at with that?
I have my book here.
Oh, what do you got?
Can you see that? Does that give
Joe
you a hint
Biden's
about what this
signature?
book is about?
The
nice.
real signature versus a fake.
Yeah, the two versions of Biden.
Mhm.
So
Wait, there's two
Yeah,
versions
this
of Biden?
There's only 2?
Well, there's 3 at least, but then if you count like the original, like it all depends on if like some people say it's, old age and plastic surgery, but Biden himself has said that doctors opened up his head and worked on his brain. So I would say it's more like brain surgery.
At least.
It's so bad.
So yeah, one, like, the simple way of saying it is, it's a guy in a mask pretending to be Biden.
Yeah.
But a more reasonable, like, somebody might be like, okay, Biden has gone through like a lobotomy and now he's like essentially a different person, right? And a lot of what I've kind of been researching is, like, I have over 100 different gaffes that he said, and you'll stop me if this is too much. But
I'm ready.
if you don't mind, I'd like to read some of these because this is what's gotten through
You
me
read
through,
your heart out. I am writing this
Biden
down to make a
analysis.
clip out of it.
I'm already in tears, and you haven't even started.
This
I'll
is
try
the
not to laugh.
president of the United States we're
Yes.
talking about here.
Supposedly.
That's
yes.
a very good point. Yeah, let's all keep this in mind. So I won't do all the dates, but I'll like, I do have them all written on here. So
Wow.
So, okay. Biden says it's estimated that 200 million people will die probably by the time I finish this talk.
Wow. Jesus. That's a lot of people.
So, this one, okay. In February of 2024, Biden claimed to have spoken about his 2020 election with German Chancellor Helmut Kohl, who had died in 2017.
Okay.
Great job.
Then, one day later, he said he spoke with Francois Mitterrand, who died in 1996, and Biden claimed he spoke to him in 2021.
Okay.
Damn.
So
Not
Biden is talking to ghosts, 2 ghosts in the same day.
Hey, that Illuminati shit's weird, bro.
Yeah.
Then, so in case like you're not convinced this is like part of a play or something, on the same day as when the special counsel investigating Biden's mishandling of classified documents stated that despite willfully retaining classified material, he's a sensitive old man with a poor memory.
Oh yeah. I
So,
remember.
he's forgetful, he's talking to ghosts, but he's the president.
Right. Yeah. No big
And
It's all good, man.
so he said, God save the Queen, man, after the Queen had already died.
Bro, that's fucking great.
This one's funny. Like, some of them are video humor, so it's hard to get that into a book. But while doing an interview with MSNBC, he gets up and leaves while the host is still talking. And she even says, don't go anywhere, as Biden is hobbling off the camera set. There's another video one that's just hilarious. He's being basically led around by a blind man, and he's like pretending like he's blind, and there's this like blind guy standing right next to him.
That's so
And then
bad.
if you can see this, Biden fell asleep at the UN.
Oh, I
Oh
remember
yeah,
that.
I
Remember
saw
that
that.
And somebody had to come and wake him up. And then, okay, so like, these are all hilarious. Like, if he has dementia, why do people keep giving him the microphone to have him like embarrass himself?
Yeah.
And then he every now and then says things that like are almost pro-Republican. So at the same rally, he says, we shouldn't be funding the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
And he also says an AR is for defending America. At the same rally.
Based.
Hey, yeah. And then on January 4th, 2022, he says it's 2020 during a New Year's message. So he always thinks it's 2020.
Yes.
Just
I wonder
glory
why.
days.
Kind of feels like that.
I was gonna say, I mean, there are a lot of similarities between 2020 and 2024. So, let's give them the
And
benefit of the doubt on that one.
And this is just kind of reading into it, but I think it's like since 2020, we've been under this kind of psychological operation, and he's reminding people it's 2020. So
Right.
Is that something a dementia person would really say? Um, I mean, maybe. But here's something funny. This is one of my funny favorite. At a benefit concert with Elton John, he says, "By the way, it's all this guy's fault. We're spending billions of dollars to fight AIDS."
Oh my god! I
Bro.
mean,
Just dropping truth bombs on motherfuckers.
I
Right.
know.
And I mean,
60
it goes on
degrees
and
of
on.
Elton's penis. That's what it
So,
was. It spread.
My book's
out.
called Patriots in
Oh,
Control.
so this
of
is
course.
your book?
Your book?
Yes.
You?
Yes.
I didn't even know
Oh,
you
And-
had a book. How did I miss this?
Well, this is kind of my debut, so you know.
Oh, nice.
hey! Oh, he came with a shocker, huh?
I
Yeah.
know.
Bombs
And
over
it's-
this guy.
I've been working on it for a while, and it's like this is hard to get through in a Twitter post, right? Obviously,
Yeah.
because there's just so much information. But like those are just the funny stuff. I want to get into really like the really suspicious things. So if you guys are ready for that, or we need to take
Bring
a
it.
break, or
Let's
whatever.
go.
Take a break.
Always ready for it, man. Always.
So- In 2018, this is kind of as far back as I could tell where like the Bidens switched, let's call it.
Mhm.
And he was speaking at the Council on Foreign Relations, which is like, a big globalist summit. And he told the story about how he bribed the Ukraine prosecutor for $1 billion.
Yep.
Yep.
And, this is very suspicious. And it's like, if he was an impersonator, then it would make sense that he's saying this in order to kind of expose the Biden family, right?
Right.
And so I have 5 examples. So that's one of them. The next one is, this was always in my top 5, but it shot to the top because it really did come true, where in December of 2020, so after they got elected, but before he was officially sworn in, he said to Kamala and I think Jake Tapper that he'll get a mysterious illness and step down and allow Kamala to take over. So, I mean, that seems wrong. And like, that was before he was even sworn in as president. and then it ended up basically happening because on July 17th, of course, Biden got COVID. And before that, remember when he kept getting COVID like over and over again, like earlier, even though he said if you got the vaccine, you won't get COVID.
Yeah.
From the time he first got sick to the time it finally was over was exactly 17 days. And he announced he's dropping out of the race with 107 days before the election. So a lot of 17s popping up in there. And like that was the sequence, is he had COVID and then he mysteriously resigned and now Kamala is taking over. But he told us all that. Like, is this part of the deep state's plan to like show us this almost in a mocking way? But, this is, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Oh man, somebody else better go before me.
Like, this is what I'll say about it, and I'm sure Rufus has some opinions and Death and everybody, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I know that something's going on. I know it's a show. I'm positive it's a show. I know that nobody's who they say they are. I don't know if they're still dead or alive. I think some of the Trumps we see are fake. I know some of the Bidens we see are fake. I can't really say that I've seen a fake Kamala because she's fake to begin with, so I don't think you even need to fake her because she's just so dumb anyway. It doesn't matter. You can just tell her what to say and
There's
she'll
a
do
couple
it.
with like her neck. It looks like a weird
Oh
mask.
yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
too.
I've seen
Yeah,
that.
you're
Or it's
right.
like sewn together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just don't know. I don't
No,
know
I feel
that
you. Look,
Trump has our best interest.
I wrote
just
a
know
book
that
and I
he's
still
better
don't know.
than yeah, I know, man.
I mean,
know.
that's
It's-
kind of, this sort of started as a joke, but then like, I have over 300 citations, like, and I'm just like, there's so much to this. At the very least, it's proving that what we're watching is not, it's impossible for this to just happen coincidentally, right?
It's not
Yeah.
organic, that's for sure.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. So at
It
the very
took
least,
Bill.
that's,
It took Bill a while to convince me of that. You remember, Bill? I was like,
I know.
"No, man, come
I know.
on, no." And then he made me watch some video of I don't even remember how many it was at the time of Q
50
proofs, and I
proofs.
was like,
Yeah.
there's no way that there's
Mhm.
not something going on. There's
Yeah.
no way. And at that time, I was all Trump. I was like, hell, because I'll be honest, if I knew that we're not in a movie, everything is what it seems, blah 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 blah, I don't see how you cannot vote for Trump. I really don't, because everything's horrible. Dude just dodged an assassination attempt. He's done everything he said he's gonna do. Like in normie land, I don't see how anybody can vote for anybody else. But me,
Right.
I'm like, this is too fucking perfect, man. Dude just avoided an assassination. This is too perfect. He
Mhm.
turned his head. It's too perfect. We all knew it was gonna happen. It's just, it seems you put an idiot in office, so what other option do people have but to like Trump? Everything's making us like Trump, and I don't know if that's just because he
That's a
is
good
the right
point.
dude and God wants it to be, and I believe in God, and I think that could be, but I also don't. I don't know, man. I don't know. I
Well, dude,
don't
I
know.
mean,
if
and I
you
would. Oh, go ahead.
when you the week after he dodged the assassination, if you even like ask the question, could it have been fake? You got your head ripped off on
Yeah,
X.
I know.
You know, people were just like dogpiling
Well,
on those
By the
people, and I
even by a lot of the people that know it's not real.
yeah, and I don't like
yeah.
that reaction.
Yeah.
And
I
then a
mean,
week later, everyone says it's fake. That's how
right.
fast the news cycle works here on Twitter.
I
Right.
mean, I'll just be honest. I thought it was fake, and then I thought it was real, and then what really convinced me were there's 3 Q proofs. I don't know if you guys have seen those, where he's got his fist raised and it
Oh yeah.
says fight, fight, fight,
Yep.
and then the other one is crazy. Like I want somebody to convince me that the one where he says I pointed at it 3 times. Did you get the shot? Boom, boom, boom.
He
Um,
pointed.
Yep.
He
yeah, he was
pointed.
looking
I
right at
saw
it.
him point. I know. I
Yeah.
know.
So
That's what I'm
the
saying,
funny thing
man.
about that is that, like, if this proves the shooting's fake, it also validates Q. It can't be one or the other. Like,
Mhm.
if
I don't think
so
there's any. I don't think Q needs to be validated anymore. And I know I'm
yeah,
gonna get ripped apart for that from a lot of people I'm friends with. Again, I don't have to agree on everything, but there, in my mind, there is zero doubt that Trump is connected to something called Q. I do not know what it is. I do not know what their intentions are, but to deny that is just crazy to me. It's insane.
Yeah, I
yeah, I
agree.
mean, I agree, and I think it's fair to be suspicious of it and like be like, well, maybe it's an evil plot. I think that's totally fair, and I think you
Yeah.
nailed it. And yeah, and I would say that regardless, like we all have to be critical. So if Trump is the president, we have to stay on it. Like we can't do the cult of Obama thing. So it's like
Yeah.
if somebody wants to be critical, like in the news, Kyle Rittenhouse said he wasn't going to vote for Trump, and the MAGA crowd kind of blew up against him. And it's like
Yeah.
it's his right, to vote whoever he
Yeah.
wants. But I thought it was interesting because he brought up that there is sort of one weakness of Trump. It's the bump stocks. But in my mind, it's like, okay, Trump didn't actually restrict guns. He restricted a gun part. And
A shitty
Yeah, but
gun
then
part.
I
Let's be
know
honest.
a
It's not
crappy
even
part,
like something useful for real for
yeah,
real.
and
I mean, I don't
people
know
that
much
he
about it,
put,
but
neither do I. Death knows better. But people he put on the Supreme Court blocked other stuff. So it's people
yes,
that he let in that made it
right.
better. So sorry, go ahead.
You're
That
letting the
was exactly
bounce of
what I
the
was going to
gun
say.
dictate how fast it shoots. Like fucking that's not accurate. That's not
Yeah.
useful. Okay, you can shoot faster, but like
Right.
if you're trying to do something, it's not a good thing to use.
Right.
Well,
Like as
it's
far
like
as the defense.
it doesn't even have like moving parts. Like there isn't even a spring on it. So you could like now that it's legal, you could probably just 3D print it. It's that simple.
Yeah.
But it's a good point that the Supreme Court overruled Trump. So the Supreme Court is more pro Second Amendment than even Trump. And I think that's like Kyle's bringing this up kind of puts it in people's mind of like, it was really a moot point, like why that would be his complaint. So I don't really know what was going on. I mean, he's a young kid, You know, he's
An
been
actor.
through
Right.
most.
Let's
But
call it what he is. He's an actor. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
fully convinced.
I'm
Fully
pretty sure I've
convinced
seen a
the question-
picture of old Kyle Rittenhouse with his hand in his jacket, hiding his hand.
yeah, I mean,
The
I
hidden
see
hand.
those things, but like this is where I kind of disagree. Like, you know, I don't know. Have you ever put your hand in a jacket? Like, is that
Totally
Yeah.
fair. Totally
Yeah.
fair.
Please feel
Yeah.
free to disagree with us on anything. We're not going to be like, you're wrong,
Yeah.
you're right. That's why we're here, is to
I-
hear other people's opinion.
I watched a lot of his trial, like live, and I did see the video where there was like the foot going through the floor.
Mhm.
But if I'm not mistaken, is that the only clip, or there's maybe more? It's maybe less than 10 seconds of proof that the trial is fake, whereas there was like hours and hours of it. You know,
right,
so-
but you also got to think about the overacting in it. You know what I mean? Like his whole emotional thing going on when he was
Mhm.
he could barely get
Yeah.
words out, and it was just like so overdone. I
Right.
don't know. Like, I'm at this point now.
Or
I've been go ahead.
The part where the prosecutor gets Gagekowitz to admit that he aimed his gun at
Right.
Rittenhouse. Like that is like an epic
That,
court
right. It
moment.
doesn't happen like that.
Right. I
On
agree with
TV
that.
it does. On
but,
TV,
like-
it does. Not yeah.
If that's the narrative, like what's
Mm-hmm.
the end result of it? It's that the Second Amendment wins, right?
Right. Correct. It's all to
Right.
pay attention
Oh,
to
just like-
everything.
Yeah, I was going to say how you said, the Supreme Court overruled Trump. I mean, in my mind, I would say that's how he wanted it to look.
Right.
It could be like I don't look at anything that goes on and take it at face value for what it is. Like they shut down Trump. Well, like if it's like you go into your friend, hold me back, man, hold me back. Like you're telling your friend to stop you from doing something you didn't want to do anyway, and
Yeah.
that's how it works out. It's always
now in
show,
the
at least me.
future-
That's what I think.
Yeah, in the future, if some president is trying to, restrict guns, it's like they said no to even the bump stock. So it's like that makes it even harder now
Yeah.
for a president to do that.
And I think the constitutional carry laws across the U.S. have like grown.
Mhm.
So I
All-
don't
Yeah,
see
that's
how
another
that's.
good example.
I don't see how that's losing either.
Dude.
Yeah,
all the stuff
I
that's
forgot
happening.
about that one actually.
Yeah,
Like
dude.
there's so much. The Supreme
Oh.
Court did make it basically constitutional, even like New York and stuff like that, right? So that's a
Alabama
pretty-
wasn't constitutional carry up until last year, but now
Yeah.
they are.
Same. Florida.
Yeah.
Same.
Ohio
It's
was
like-
kind of similar. They just
Okay.
recently, like within the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years maybe, like you can just, carry without a permit.
Yeah, I think everything should be open carry, how it used to be, because people would mess around less if they knew everybody had a gun on them at all times.
Mhm.
It would reduce crime, not increase it, in my opinion, at least.
Think
Sure
about
that
how
liberals will freak out.
how deep asleep we all were, right? How they were
Mhm.
able to do this behind our backs, circumnavigate the Constitution, get these judges in there, all on the local levels, and so on and so forth. Over all these years, we were just fast asleep. So how do you, right, wake people up to this? You give real-time examples. Well, real-time to us, not necessarily on the other side, right? But real-time examples, and it has to go through the whole thing. You know what I mean? The whole up the line, all the way up the Supreme Court. All that takes time. All this stuff. People are like, why is it taking so long? And this, and even I'm guilty of that too. But the more I stop and think
I
about
can
it, I'm
vouch
like,
for that. I've heard
it
him
was
bitch a
so
bunch about it.
bad. It got so bad that they had already overthrown the government, and they were about to put us in camps. They had it all planned out, and it was
Mhm.
gonna go down. And for people to say it's still going to go down, you're retarded. You're retarded. It's already should have been happening. Okay,
Yeah.
so that can just stop
And
that.
there's,
shit
I
right there.
think there's too many people awake
I love
for
you,
it to
Bill.
go down. I think there's
So-
too many people awake for it to go down like that now. I honestly do. I
Right.
don't.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
think there's
right.
enough. I don't think there's enough awake for it to be a smooth transition yet. I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
Not enough
mean,
people
I
are
will
awake for
say-
it to be like, okay, but
Like the Democrats might like jump on the train, but yeah,
Right.
there's too many people, exactly what you said.
Man,
My
that's
wife knows. I made it clear to her, and she agrees. If they came, as crazy as this sounds, as crazy as I would have thought it sounded 10 years ago, if they came to our house to take us anywhere, we're going to die fighting them from taking us, period.
Yeah.
That's it. Because I'd rather die standing our ground than go with them and do whatever they're going to do and fall into whatever they have planned. I'm not doing
Right.
it. And we're both ready for that. And I
Yeah.
don't look forward to it. I don't welcome it, but I'm ready for when it does happen. So that's it.
And
I just don't
feel
see
like,
what the point of them pulling the mask off and going booga booga is. Like, is that a good idea? Is that ever going to happen?
I
You know?
wish, man. I
I
wish. But
don't think so, and that shows how they don't really have full control, because
Right.
if they had full control, we'd have a king, or like, the supreme leader of the universe, or whatever they would call it,
Zoltan.
they're out
the
there.
general of space
Well,
know
you know,
force.
this is
man.
the last time we're ever going to have to vote, right? I think
I know.
someone said that.
Trump said it, bro. Trump said it.
Like,
He said
Only
it
if you're
about
Christian,
a
right?
specific group of people. That's
I-
what he said. Bro, quit trying to manipulate it, Rufus.
so the first
Yeah, we're not going to have to vote because we'll all be in camps, right?
So the first
Oh.
part of my book is, I called it "Let's Go Brandon," because if you guys get the joke. And the second part is really about Trump. And so I've been researching Trump for a while, and I'm going to tell you, Trump lies. I don't know if that's a shock to people, but Trump lies.
What?
I mean,
Oh my gosh! I thought he was Jesus Christ.
you just broke Bill right there. No,
No,
not my
Yeah.
Trumpy.
yeah,
But
no,
that's why people like try to figure out, like, oh, is this 4D chess? And I want to say, like, because I've been I voted for him in 2016, 2020. I'll do it again. And one reason that a lot of people abandoned Trump during his administration, do you remember the Syria incident where they said that Assad gassed his own citizens?
Mhm.
And everybody was shocked that Trump was like, oh, they gassed those beautiful babies. We're going to do something. And everyone was like, no, this is George W. Bush all over again. We're going to war with Syria. We're going to war with Iran. None of that happened.
no.
And what Trump did was he bombed specific airfields, and a Russian video showed it where there was this like little bridge thing that a fighter jet was under, and it was unharmed. So he did this limited strike of an airfield, forgot about it, never talked about it again. But that's what made pretty much the entire alt-right, they go by like Groypers now or whatever. I don't even want to name specific names, but they all abandoned Trump over basically a 4D chess move. And so it's like, yeah, he's going to say crazy stuff and people are going to try to use that against him. But, he usually has some way out.
Dude,
Or like when he was like, we got to buy these weapons from these people, because if we don't buy them, somebody else is going to buy them. And it's like, everybody was like, wait, he can't say that. He's telling everybody that we're buying weapons. Or was it buying or selling weapons to a certain group of people?
Both.
It was something like that.
Yeah. Either
Well,
way,
he
I can
took
say
out
that.
ISIS. It was Biden that gave the Taliban a bunch of weapons.
Oh yeah, with the what? I mean, he left them some inflatable planes, dude. That's not a big deal. All right, haven't you seen that video?
That inflatable plane is
So, I know.
Like,
and
I don't
people
think you can get that
argue it.
close to the jet engine.
I know that's a real plane.
Yeah, I have-
Habib would have been sucked through it, dude. If that was real, he would have been gone.
The same Globies argue that too. They'll
I
go to
know.
town on you on that one. Like,
They're
Yep.
not even Globies, man. They're NPCs. They're
Yeah, no, I
whatever
think
the
he
hell
had
it
a
is. I don't
disinfo
even know, man.
Van nailed it with a disinfo. It's too long to say, so I'm gonna have to come up with something to go.
I know. We need to come up with a name for it. They're just, I don't even know. Man. It's
or
rough.
something. I don't know. It's too. But,
Well, and like with Afghanistan, like this is an important point that I wanted to make. And since you mentioned that hilarious video, I'll just mention it now. So they said that 13 servicemen died in Afghanistan. 13, right? What are the
13.
odds?
Yep.
Other than that, like, and other than the Ukraine and the Israel war, which I think you guys agree that's something like the Ukraine war is like psyop. It's not like a real war.
Yeah.
Other than those wars that make it seem like we're on the verge of World War III, we are not actually officially in any countries, and there are almost zero U.S. soldiers dying in any
Actually,
foreign
hold on
country.
1 second. I don't want to interrupt you, but I know Rufus has. I don't know. I shouldn't have probably shouldn't have brought it up. We'll see. At 49 minutes, Rufus, are you there? Like,
Yeah, I'm
because
here.
I know you have inside stuff on this. If you don't want to share it, you don't have
Yes,
to.
no, I was gonna bring that up as
Okay.
I know someone who just came over from Ukraine, and I was asking her about, like, what's going on. Obviously I was interested to hear like what her experience was, and I figured she was like a refugee or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Totally not. And I asked her, I was like, so what, like, how's your life different, or what's going on over there? And she's like, well, I didn't really notice anything different. They just kind of passed a lot of new laws.
Hmm.
And she's young and ignorant, so she didn't know what's really going on. But, that was
Mhm.
just kind of her
Yeah.
opinion of what was going on, was that nothing really changed, except for, of course, they never let a crisis go to waste. So we might as well at least push something through.
That's
And
probably
that's all she saw.
the whole point of it. Like, we need to pass a bunch of new laws and launder a bunch of money. So let's do
Yeah,
this.
well, they did give like 200 billion to Ukraine, but it's also weird how like Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX, they're
Where the
connected
hell did
to
that go, man? I'm so tired of this. So tired of this memory hole bullshit, man. I'm serious. That's the thing that pisses me off the most. They
Hmm.
they just throw shit
They'll
at
bring it
you.
back when it's convenient.
I
It's like
know.
they're
When they
Well,
want to crash the market again, I bet you
Yeah.
Once Biden's out and they say he has dementia, then they'll be like, "It was Biden the whole time. We're
hmm.
sorry." That was
Speaking of, I mean, is Biden can't last. There's no way he's gonna finish the presidency. I don't
Well,
think so.
You think he's
yeah, I
cooked,
mean,
bro?
he's pretty bad right now. So it's
He's bad.
Did y'all see where he walked onto the empty plane? I was dying. He walked right past the people that were released from
I
Russia.
didn't even
Or
see
for,
it. No.
from
It's-
he just walks
yeah,
right
when he
past
was
them to go to the plane.
standing next to Kamala, he was like, it's like his soul was getting sucked out of him. He was just like,
He doesn't have a soul, bro. Come
I guess
on.
that's what I can enjoy the
they
show.
took it
right?
out of him already.
I mean, even Jim Carrey, who's playing him, probably doesn't have one, so
Yeah.
we're good. No, who knows
I
who's
don't know,
playing
man.
him? It's ridiculous.
I don't know, man. What do you think? What are your thoughts on Cappy?
On who?
Cappy. Where do you think do you think he was legit?
Cappy? Who's Cappy?
Isaac Cappy.
Oh, Isaac Cappy.
Oh, Isaac Cappy.
All right, I should Isaac Cappy. I just called
I
him Cappy.
know. I always laugh every time I see Beer Fest because he's in that movie, and I'm like, aw. And I mean, I think that, like, yeah, I mean, I followed Pizzagate from the very beginning. I think Pizzagate kind of like went into QAnon in a lot of ways, and
Like
like the
primed
WikiLeaks.
people for it.
What's that?
You think it like primed people for it? That coming out?
Well, like the WikiLeaks, if that story's true, which, one way or another, they got all this information and somebody leaked it out there. And yeah, like there's this big suddenly explosion all of a sudden where everybody knows that every single actor is like part of this, when before, like you mentioned, we were so asleep. So it's, yeah, I mean, I think of it as like that's sort of part of Q. And I know, like, the way I phrase it is most guys are like, let's, punish these people, put them behind bars. But I know most women who get into this are like, they have a very deep connection to saving the children and the babies. So I think as long as we move in that direction, I think that's good. And,
Sure.
but right now it's like, it's getting exposed, like the trafficking at the border, the genocide in Gaza, like,
Yeah,
we
I
at
mean,
least know about it now.
how do you get people to notice something other than turning up the volume? Like, If you're not hearing
Right.
me, let's crank it up. If you don't know human trafficking's going on, let's put however many million people across the border in a year. Let's see. Let's put it. But I mean, I try to look at the positive side of things. I know how to play devil's advocate too, for sure, because there's a lot of things going on that I don't understand how they're still going on if quote unquote patriots are in control. And
Mm.
I can honestly say I'm not on either side. If it was all just a movie, Donald Trump, I don't disagree with anything he does. Honestly, I think he's funny as hell. I love the way he treats people. Anybody who's hurt feelings by what he says, they're just a sissy anyway. I don't care. He can say whatever he wants, but like there's still things going on that I'm like, why are these things still happening?
Like
If
what? I'm curious.
well, chemtrails, because I still see them all the time. Why are they still happening? Why are prices still so horrible? Why is everything still so bad? I mean, I get again they do need to turn up the heat, but like and
Absolutely, bro.
I can play both sides. I can say maybe the chemtrails are still there and maybe they turn them up, but they're not the bad chemicals anymore. Maybe this may I can justify anything, man,
Right,
if I
you're
knew
right.
the truth.
Yes.
But
What
I don't.
about the artificial fires that are started all over the place? You know, and like whatever happened in Hawaii too.
Well, the Hawaii one is maybe the Project Bluebeam, but the fires in like California, a lot of them are getting caught by arsonists. So they say it's climate change, and then it's like they catch an arsonist, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, then obviously it wasn't climate change. But the Hawaii thing, I mean, that's another thing down the memory hole, right? Like,
Yeah, I
Yes. There was
know.
That
another
got
blip
memory hole
recently
fast.
somewhere in Canada. I forget exactly where it was. I don't know if you saw that, but it was almost textbook the exact same plan as the Hawaii
Heard
thing
about
too, with
that.
the
Yep.
fried cars and everything. If you saw a little bit of videos, it didn't really make the news cycle, but I saw a few videos and it looked almost exactly the same.
yeah, a lot of like blue cars survived. I had a video on that. It was kind of pretty strange.
Yep.
But
Do you
I would
think
say,
that they actually survived or they just placed them there as
mm,
another
Oh
kind of
that,
shit,
deal, you
Rufus, you're
know?
killing me, bro.
Just goes deeper and
I
deeper.
mean, didn't you see the soot around them, bro? You can't fake that.
You can't fake soot, bro.
so, but it's part of like from the beginning of 2024. I mean, remember the tunnels under New York? Like, they are throwing so much crazy stuff at us
Hmm.
to distract us from something. And I think that's obvious. And my interpretation, and you could, you have to, for everyone has to search in their own way. My interpretation is that everything they've thrown against Trump has failed, and they're just trying to distract us in any way possible. And it's even culminated in a failed assassination attempt, which I think obviously, the Patriots knew ahead of time, but
But
it
that's what
was
I
like,
mean. You can't
yeah,
believe they're in control if this stuff is still going on. But also, again, I totally
well, not
understand.
total control.
Just
I
yeah,
get what you're
just
saying.
because you chop
Yeah.
off the head of the snake doesn't
Mhm.
mean all the
Right.
underlings fall in line. They're still gonna.
Yeah.
There's people under biting for power and stuff like that. So I get
Mm.
that, but like, I just want to hear that that's what somebody rational also thinks it could be,
Yeah.
because they can't be in total control if shit's still happening
Yeah.
bad, or
Yeah.
they're
There
assholes. It's one or the
there
other.
is a lot of deep state control. Like, look at Democrat cities. They generally have more crime, more corruption, more vote fraud. Um, like, I'm from Ohio. Ohio has picked the right winner every single time going back to like 1972. So they flip flop between, red and blue, but they've always picked the right one until 2020, where Ohio voted for Trump, but it ended up Biden being the winner.
That's
But in
weird.
Ohio, there's a Republican governor, and I know that the elections are more fair than in California and Michigan and PA. So even with the vote fraud, it's you know localized mostly in blue areas, whereas other areas they can't control everything. So it is a war. I want to make that clear. It's not 100% either way. And I think some people take it like the deep state's 100% in control, which I disagree with. But
I don't think that either.
everyone's
I'm definitely not black pilled. I'm for sure not.
yeah.
I know my sorry, not financially, but my life is better than it was before. Spiritually, whatever you want to call it, I'm more connected. I appreciate the people around me more. All my relationships are better. I appreciate my job more. All that's better. Even if the world's shit around me, which I don't buy into because I see what affects me on a local level, and things aren't so bad for me here. And I know they're bad for some people, and I get that. I totally do. But like, that's kind of how I gauge it. And but at the same time, I do see. I mean, I try, man. I try to look at it that everything I see on a screen is a lie, everything. But at the same time, I have to look at it because I have to analyze the lies they're feeding us to find out what they're doing. So, I mean, I'm sure you all get that. You
I,
have to watch
I would
things. You have
say,
to
you
keep
know,
up.
look at everything as a lie and then as the truth. And usually the easiest way of doing it is like people did this with 9/11 as my
2
cat.
times.
Love
If
Deja vu. The Matrix is real.
it.
like
There it goes.
you have to first lay down the official story of 9/11 to then debunk the official story of 9/11. So, you know, look at it as if it's real, then look at it as if it's a lie, then go back to looking at it as if it's real. That's what I do. You know, that's I've been doing this for a while, so you just kind of have to, you know, poke your hole in a lot of different rabbit holes, see how the pieces fit. You know, eventually it clicks and you just kind of find your groove. For younger people, it's, you know, they maybe start with one group and then they're, you know, cautious going into other groups, and it's just like expand your knowledge, and then you eventually, you know, come to realize all the different knowledges of different groups, and you know there's always still more that you can learn. So that's how I do it.
I think any rational person is going to try and debunk these type of things first, mainly because they just don't want them to be true. You know, I'd rather just be able to
Yeah.
look at something that is outlandish and crazy, and then, you know, you should be able to fairly easily refute the claims of the conspiracy people. And once you look into it and you find, well, there might be a little bit more to this, then you continue to dig deeper and deeper, and then you find what the truth really is.
Dude, I totally 100% you nailed it, and it kind of goes back to what I was trying to say before, but you put it better. Like, some people don't have that ability to accept the fact that they've been wrong about something and to look at it another way. I thank God every day that I'm someone who is able to do that, and with very little trouble, actually, if I'm being honest. I have no problem dropping my ego and being like, well, damn, I was totally wrong about that, because it doesn't matter. Like, all I want is the truth. If nothing else,
Mm-hmm.
like, if I knew that if I died today I would have all the answers to everything, I'd be like, bring it. I just want the answers, man. That's more important to me than almost anything. I just want the truth.
Yes.
So, and I found the truth in flat earth, and I'm not positive about the truth in this, but I know something's going on. I know something's going
And you
on.
know what? If they stick by their bluff that they've been trying to hold against us forever and send us up into outer space, and we see that it's a damn ball or a pear, you know what? I'll be the first to admit it.
Oh, our podcast would turn around and would be the It's a Globe podcast. I swear to God. If
The
if
Globe
one
Booth
day
podcast.
if one day I found out it was legitimately a globe and I knew it beyond the shadow of a doubt, like I know that it's flat beyond the shadow of a doubt, I would totally turn a 180 and I would watch my followers drop and I wouldn't care because I was speaking the truth.
Right.
And that's what I'm doing now. So they can say whatever they want. You don't really believe this. This is a parody account. Okay. All right, dude.
Yeah, I think like this is what I learned early on. I mean, even before politics, like reading into spirituality, that if you have the truth or if you're proven wrong and get the truth, you kind of end up in the same place. So this is why I've always tried to debate people different from me, and you know, jumping into like the like religious, you know, evolution debates, like because you just want to learn, and you know, you have to kind of figure it out on your own. You can't just say, oh, this is the truth because this person or this book said it. You have to figure it out for your own, and that's, you know, you just kind of grow. And different topics come along, but it's always about, figuring out what is true, the logical construction of a sentence. That's basically the simplest way of saying it.
Yeah.
It's a very spiritual aspect to what we're going through. Extremely.
Yes. I think
Bill, we
is-
lost you. We
he's
couldn't
back,
hear
I
you for a
think.
second.
You're back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
were totally gone. I think it was an internet thing, not a microphone.
Oh,
thing.
was it? Oh, okay.
I think so. But yeah, go ahead. We couldn't hear you what you were saying.
Yeah, I'm just putting it up.
We
just
heard
a little
spiritual thing, and then
bit. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh
Keep
yeah.
going
Well,
with that.
I think it is spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
And it's very real.
no doubt.
And I actually can break it down to this. It's the ones that are pretty much awake or asleep, right? The sleeping ones are still let evil run them. The evil thoughts, right? That whole mentality, that whole aspect still controls them. They automatically look at something and they're just like, oh, it's the worst thing ever. We're doomed. And everything that's been shown to me is actually happening. Like, oh my God, I saw the Illuminati card where a dude gets shot in the head and now Trump got shot in the head. And that means Illuminati's in control and this and that. And it's like, whoa, think about, don't you think that's a little convenient? Don't you think that perhaps you were shown all this because this was supposed to be the plan and now it's not? And they want you to have that reaction, right? They want you to have that and be scared, be fearful, because you weren't going to be fearful of war. You were just going to wake up in a camp. And what happened? I thought I voted for you. What did you do to me? And that's
I don't even think it would
seriously.
be that. I think it would be, oh my God, look at this nice room they gave me. It's awesome.
Right. Yeah,
there's-
you're right.
there's
Yeah.
a pipe
For
from
some
the
of them, be like,
ceiling.
this is so
Bill,
great.
I'm
Oh,
glad.
Hillary.
I'm glad you said that. I mean, being the guest of the show, I didn't want to say it, but I'm glad
Oh,
you said
dude, these guys know where I sit, and I don't even really always go to fully
Yeah.
extent because I know where people are at. There's different levels to this,
But
but like I'm
there's
saying,
levels.
And
that
I'm
spiritual
okay
thing-
with that.
right, and that's
Exactly,
fine.
me
But
too.
my spirituality in
Yes.
all of this is I've been shown things, and I've been given the ability to discern that not a lot of people have, and
Bill's
I
a
know
freak.
that now.
Bill is a freak.
But I know that now, and I'm accepting that. I mean, I'll be watching the news and I'll just start busting out laughing, and they're showing a war zone, and I'm like, dude, that's so fake. You know what I mean?
Those
Like,
you see those wooden guns, bro?
Totally,
yeah,
You see that?
gosh, and it's like, but it's because I've allowed myself to unfilter and filter as needed, if that makes
Yeah.
any sense. And
Exactly,
I've filtered out
exactly,
evil. I just like Ted was saying, man. I used to be such a pessimist, and he knows this. Oh my gosh, the worst. But like over these last 4.5 years strong, something has happened, and it would be wrong of me to deny that. You know what I mean? And like he was saying, things are actually pretty good, minus the inflation and all
Gas
the
prices.
we got to go with it. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
God, we have a podcast now. I had nothing. You know what I mean? Like we have all these people that we talk to every single day, and we get to share all this information, and like we're going through this movement together. You know, and that's a spiritual thing.
That's why we
Right?
never try to cut anybody out, and we never try to fight with anybody, because everybody has something to offer. Even if they're on a totally different page, they all have something to offer. And yes, people, I mean, Globies don't watch this, but if this clip ever came out, they'd be like, you fucking talk shit all the time. I always wait, always, since day one. Bill can vouch for this, and I'm sure Rufus and Death can too, especially Rufus, because he was there from the beginning watching it. I always wait for them to talk crap first. Always. I'm always nice until they call me an idiot. Or
What are the
say I
chances they're
should
going to do
die
that?
or whatever.
Like,
But it's
what are we looking at? Like
but
100%.
that's how you decipher who's a, or at least a real person and who isn't, or paid or a bot or whatever the hell you want to call them, because they immediately go with insults. Immediately, it's ridiculous. People you've never talked to are just like, I fucking hate you. You're a moron. It's just
And
crazy.
Ban's
I
calm.
love-
You ever watch him? He's so calm, dude. When he's debating
Who?
people or Ban
Oh,
or like,
dude, come on! I've told him before, I respect
He's
the
so
crap
chill.
out of the way you handle people, dude. You can tell you have children. You have patience, man. That's all
Yeah,
I'm
dude.
saying.
He
Thank
gets
you.
these little fingers in and he just sips them in there just nonchalantly and then lets them have at it and they're yelling at him and he just laughs. I'm like, oh,
I know.
share it,
I
be like
know.
this. I want to tell myself to be like that and I just can't. I have to like literally, you know what I mean, and with verbiage like eviscerate them and
I
then
know.
hand them their parts and hope they can put it back together again. That's
He
I
speaks
don't know
like a
why.
person who knows he has the truth and he's
Yeah,
just telling you
I
to help
respect that.
you. I know. It's awesome.
Thank you guys. And I was going to say that, like, I'm interested in politics, and I understand that that's like chaotic energy, but at the end of the day, the real thing is spirituality, and that really grounds you, and it's you know un unplug from everything else and get into your spiritual zone, however you do that. And I think it is like some people just can't get it because they lack that. And for me, I had a spiritual awakening first before I ever found out about 9/11 truth. I would have never looked into 9/11 truth unless I had already went over that hump where I already kind of became ostracized for, my beliefs. And it's like you kind of have to just do that. And I know a lot of people in our community are like that, and I think that's the right direction.
Heck yeah, I agree.
So, not to kill the mood, but I have to ask you because we were talking about things that are still allowed to happen and things that Trump supported and blah blah blah. So, what's your take on the whole vaccine thing about how
So, I mean, I want to like bring this up, debate this with people, but they usually just like, I mean, I think it's unfair to blame Trump for like every single death that's happened since COVID.
Hmm.
He has given us a lot of alternatives. And I'll say my very first Q proof was hydroxychloroquine. And I read a lot about that. And then Trump mentions it to the media. He's like, yeah, I'm taking hydroxychloroquine. And like the media freaks out. I'm like, whoa, like Q's talking about that and Trump's talking about that. And so he offered a lot of different alternatives, even the UV light, where they said it was drinking bleach.
yeah, I know.
If
It's
he would
so
have
bad.
just said, like, oh, screw this, which he did, he said it was just the flu. But then he, like, the way I phrase it is, if you're playing chess with a grandmaster and if you get angry, you can't just flip the board over and call yourself the winner. Trump wanted to
Yeah.
beat them at their own game. So when they said, hey, we need 30,000 ventilators, he said, you can have 2,000, but it comes with a warning: 90% of people on these die.
Yeah.
And he made it clear, but he gave them what they wanted so that they couldn't say, like, oh, we don't have enough
He
masks.
gave them
He
all
had
the
Mike
rope they
Lindell
needed.
making masks for them. Like,
Yeah.
so, I
And
think,
he
My
said
masks.
hydroxychloroquine on TV.
yeah.
He
Yeah.
said it. He got it
Mhm.
out there,
Dude, that's
and
what
they
I'm
got
saying.
pissed. You know.
I can see it from both sides. I can see where, okay, the people who want to hate on Trump, they can say he's the father of the vaccine. He created Operation Warp Speed. He did this. He did that. I can also see where it was going to happen either way, and he sped up the process to let them not get their plan into full effect. And if you're trying to stop a train, like you can't stop a train immediately full of people. It's gonna
Yeah.
kill them. They're gonna
Yep.
fly to the front and be splattered.
Even the
So
Globers
you
knew that one, right?
so you
Nice.
got to do it gradually, and I can see it from both sides.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not 100% sold. I could see where, motherfucker, man, he pushed it. He pushed the vaccine. I've seen him still say it was the greatest thing ever, but he could mean that in a different way. Just like with Space Force, I don't think it's
Yeah.
space. Like Bill says it better.
Right.
I don't think it's space. I don't think it's outer space. I think it's something else. I think there's a lot of things that can be taken both ways, but I think it has to be done either way. It has to be done that way. Either way, whether it's good or bad, it has to be done that way.
Since he
And
started Space Force, how many operations have they done in outer space?
How many wars
Elon,
has
bro.
Space
Right?
Force
Yeah,
won?
yeah. Have we been battling the big beetles on Planet Zoldon yet, and all that stuff? Like, no, because he's trolling you, just like Elon is trolling. We use trolling because that's how we play, right? That's how we do our thing. But
How-
he's literally showing you, like, hey, I can start a program right now,
Yeah.
call it
And
whatever you want. Go ahead.
And the program is very significant because under the Constitution, the president has the most power with the military. And so this is a brand new branch. This is like unheard of power that they just gave to him. So, I mean, I hope he's a good guy because, but that's the
That's a
thing
lot of
is like,
power.
yeah, he does have power, whether you think he's good or bad. And in politics, power is, might is right. So you have to, at least, you can't just say, well, I mean, you could ignore it. That, a lot of people could just turn off the TV, but like the the system goes on,
They
even
don't.
if
A
you
lot of
ignore
people
it.
don't understand the posse comitatus thing in Space Force. If you can elaborate on that a little bit and kind of give these guys a reason what you meant by that, as far as giving the
Well,
executive order and that power.
posse comitatus is, they use that to say that the military can never come on U.S. soil, but it's really that the military can't use police like tactics, or like they can't do law enforcement. It's absurd to think if America got invaded, you couldn't use the military to protect America. So
Yeah.
people misuse posse comitatus, but how the Constitution's set up is like the Congress has a lot of power to create. Well, they're supposed to only have gold and silver as legal tender. So, whoops, they forgot that one.
Do that one.
But the president has, and they always phrase it as like this hierarchy, like the Supreme Court or these like religious elders, but it's separate and equal branches. And the president has almost full authority over the executive and military, but he can't go to Congress and boss them around, and he also can't go into states. So when Trump was like, I want to take the Marines and kick Antifa's ass, all his advisors like, no, sir, you can't do that. And he kind of wanted that out there, like he wants to do it. He probably could even legally do it, but of course they would be like, he's Hitler, he's killing these, But it's with Space Force, like the Congress like creates branches and then the president like fills them, but and there's this like balance. But with Space Force, he has his own branch where he doesn't have to go through like this career veteran, or not veteran, sorry, general, this career, DEI hire or whatever. He could have a clean slate to do pretty much whatever he wanted. And going along with like the COVID and Q thing, when he when we had the COVID emergency, all 50 states signed on to a pledge to give emergency power to him. And when he mentioned this, the media freaked out. And he was standing right next to Mike Pence. And they're like begging Mike Pence to be like, please contradict Trump. And Mike Pence used the word plenary, which means absolute. So Mike Pence is admitting that this gave Trump basically absolute emergency authority. So anything like any suspicion about or assumption like, oh, Q is done through Space Force or whatever, it's certainly there. I don't have any insider information proving that, but it's certainly logical to say that there's a connection there.
Oh yeah.
Is that kind of what you meant?
Yeah, it just because obviously the whole thing, people just look at it as Space Force. It's a Star Trek emblem, like
Yeah.
But it's that's the point too. There's this is multifaceted, right?
Right.
Again, I'm just saying my
Yeah.
opinion, but
I mean,
this is,
some people think it's the internet. Like, do they have any vehicles? Do they have any spaceships? Like, I haven't seen any. So,
They got a cool music video.
they did.
oh, do they?
Yeah, all the ads for Space Force are dope as shit.
Yeah,
Anybody
bangers.
who's anybody has a music video, so I mean,
Yeah.
come on, they have to.
Did you ever see The Office for Operation Warp Speed? Did you ever happen to catch that very short video around 2020 that was flying around?
The Office, like the show.
Yeah, no, it was just like there was a video showing where Operation Warp Speed was the office of it, like the main hub.
Oh, no, I don't think I did.
Yeah, no, there was a door and the guy opens it and he walks through it and it's just a giant room with a bunch of computers.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. It's
Take it what
I
you
don't think they're
will.
going
You know, I didn't see one poster in there like
right.
mask up or take this shot or no Pfizer brought to you by
Right.
Pfizer. There was nothing going on there that had anything to do with a vaccine. Just throwing
Yeah,
it out
good
there.
point.
It's what I've personally seen. So and then
And
it disappeared. It's gone. I haven't seen it since.
and I have to mention, like,
It's gone.
Trump's put down of Elon's companies, and he mentioned rocket ships to nowhere,
Yeah.
talking about SpaceX. So I think Trump, is knowledgeable. Maybe he's not a flat earther, but I think he's knowledgeable about space at least, because like Space Force, he knows SpaceX rockets don't really go to space. I've seen him like making fun of like the ISS astronauts, doing their somersaults. I forget what he said, but he's like, unbelievable. And then there's the video of
they love
Buzz,
that
like
word.
Buzz has like having like a heart attack or something while he's standing next to Trump. Like, what was going on there?
That's
So,
such a weird that's such a weird video.
yeah, I mean, obviously there's some that shows, Trump has to keep a lot of stuff hidden. Like a lie by omission is still technically a lie. And, you got to have to kind of have patience when he says something crazy. There's probably some, other angle going on there.
Mm-hmm. How do you think it's going to end?
Well,
I think Ted brought up a great point. Like, everybody wants that Scooby-Doo ending, right? But it's like, is that really
but
where we're
real
gonna
life doesn't end like that. Like,
Right.
if you arrested every single gang member in your city, do you retire the police force because nobody's going to be a criminal ever again? Like, you wait 10 years, then the sequel comes out, right? And it's like,
Mhm.
I think right now, and this is another thing, is a lot of people misinterpret Q as like, when are the arrests coming? And I think right now it's like, it's happening right now. It's the exposure. And I'll bring up, I got to bring up my book for this
Yes,
one. So,
yes.
Of course.
so since Trump, this is just a partial list. This is all the people that have died since Trump took office. So Trump was inaugurated 2017. So David Rockefeller, John McCain, George H.W. Bush, Jeffrey Epstein, Ruth Ginsburg, Donald Rumsfeld, Colin Powell, they were members of the George W. Bush administration, high-level architects. The Queen, Barbara Walters, and then one day later, the old Pope Benedict, Henry Kissinger, and Lord Jacob Rothschild. So, I mean, if the deep state's still in control, they're obviously cleaning house. There's
Right.
And I'll even say, George Soros is technically still alive, but his son, Alex Soros, is around speaking, and he's kind of an idiot. I don't think he's really ready for like the job of being, supreme commander of the deep state, which makes me think that George Soros is probably really sick or probably already gone. So like, this is why when people say like, oh, who's really controlling Biden? It must be Obama. But you say all presidents are puppets and Obama was a president. So is Obama really the mastermind? And it's like, because all these people are dying who are the mastermind. So, and they're still out there, but some of them are still out there, but there's a very, very long list growing. And so I think that's what I use when it's not like, oh, today, is the day. Like, it's been happening for 3 years, 4 years, maybe even longer.
Mhm.
These things take time.
Mhm.
It's like you got to zoom out and look at the picture from a higher level, and it things are definitely happening, but it takes longer. It's not going to happen all at once.
I think
Yeah,
a lot of
it's
it.
like a 100-year psyop that they're fighting,
Oh my
starting
God.
with 1913. So if you could take that down in 10 years, that's pretty good, right?
Sure. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Would you say that would be done at a warp speed?
But I can also see how if they wanted you to do nothing, they would put a story like this into play for you to sit back and do nothing and just let shit happen. So
True.
But
Trust the plan, bro.
Yeah.
but I mean, the media constantly like downplays it, so it's really just for like the conspiracy theorists. So like they had a fake assassination attempt of Trump for us
Yeah.
at this table, right? Like, and your
Right.
audience, like, it's not the Olympics. The people, watching the Ozympics are not getting this kind of information. Like, it's not being promoted like Captain America, New World Order, or whatever they're calling it. Like,
Right.
so this idea of like, oh, they're, distracting you. Like, I'm doing other things in life. Like, my life's fine. Like, I seriously doubt they're doing this just for my benefit.
Yeah.
So we're talking about like maybe 2 or 3% of people who are really paying attention to this stuff.
Yeah, part of me kind of feels like they just created another genre of shit to pay attention to for smarter people.
Yeah. And I mean, that could be it, but you
Vice
you
versa.
learn of it, and you move on if you want. Like, I think with this, it's like I never really focused solely on Trump. My thing was always like this fascination with Biden, and I'm almost sad that it's like,
Oh, dude,
It's
I
gonna
said
be
that in
done.
a post. I
almost
was like,
over.
I'm sad that Biden's leaving, man. That's so much good comedy gone.
Yeah.
It's been great.
So bad.
So I mean, I think I'll
Well,
definitely like move
We have
on.
Kamala.
Kamala,
Well, okay.
huh? Yeah. So who is Trump going to win, and also who's the candidate he's going up against? Because
Trump can't be president 3 times, bro.
That's right. So
I highly doubt it's
Kamala-
going to be Kamala. Or
I think
Kamala.
Kamala's kind of in the same boat as Joe Biden. Like, somehow Kamala is even dumber than Joe Biden.
It's just
And-
natural with her. It was just
Like, her past is so bad that the media has a hard time spinning it because, all right, so she busted a bunch of marijuana users, which, everybody's opposed to. But the media tries to spin it and says, oh, she's tough on crime. But she bailed out the Antifa rioters.
Yeah.
So she can't be tough on crime if she's bailing out anarchists. So,
well, specific crimes. Specific.
yeah,
ones.
like,
Yeah,
her
like,
past itself is going to just tank her. And she's already rejected the debate with Trump on Fox News, even though Trump did the CNN debate. Which I have to mention CNN because, Ted, that was one of the first things that when you popped in my Twitter space, I was giving my prediction about how, Trump would get a favorable hearing on the CNN town hall, and he ended up getting a standing ovation on CNN. And
Remember.
just a little background with that is, so the CNN parent company is Warner Brothers Discovery, and their CEO is David Zaslav. He's this like Eastern European guy, and they got really mad because he tanked the movie Batgirl because it was like too woke, and he was like, this isn't ready for general audience. And so he's clearly not like a leftist, right? But he owns CNN now, and they got rid of Jeff Zucker, the crazy CNN president. They got rid of Chris Cuomo. They got rid of the fat guy, the reliable sources guy. They got rid of Don Lemon. Like, they cleared out all of
Lemon,
these
bro.
guys.
Lemon,
Yeah.
all right? No, I'm kidding. Sorry.
And now, like, it's hilarious when conservatives are like, even CNN is being favorable to Trump. Like, CNN is controlled by Trump. That's the secret that nobody really wants to really talk about, but it's so obvious. And where was the first debate? On CNN. And it actually helped Trump by, silencing the mic. So, Joe Biden's like, oh, we're killing Medicare. And like, Trump can't jump in. And then they're like, okay, now Trump does it. And that actually allowed Biden to talk and ruin himself. So
Yep.
I just had to mention that. That's my CNN theory. But
Well,
now,
Warner Brothers actually is one of the only movie companies that's been putting out movies that have real stories about like humans triumphing over evil and like that kind of thing, So I was able to see it through that angle just from when I heard about the CNN thing. I was like, oh, well, Warner Brothers is who we want there. That's for sure. you know.
So you're saying that they're trying to warn a brother?
Hey!
Dad
Whoa,
joke of the day.
there you go.
I want the Illuminati card where Joe Biden falls on his face. When are they going to make that one?
I know, right? Yeah, that's a good point. There's always like these new ones coming out and stuff. It's real weird.
Right.
It's like a Mandela. It's
Yeah.
like that one didn't exist, and then it just popped into our
Popped up
reality.
conveniently after it happened.
It gets loaded into the PDF you have saved
It's
on
like
your
the-
phone.
Yeah, just out of nowhere. There it is.
But you're
I
right,
think you
dude.
asked, like,
Go ahead.
you asked
Rufus.
like who's going to win, and I'll just say, I can't predict the future, but it's funny that I think even conspiracy theorists are like, it's almost so like you mentioned earlier, like it's like they want us support Trump, which is maybe making some people uneasy. But if they then cheat against him again, and then it's like, what's the point of doing that? So it seems like no matter what it is, the momentum's going in his favor.
Right.
Unless
I mean,
they
if this
cheat.
is all a show, is voting even real, or has it ever been real, or has it always been rigged? Think about that too.
Well, I mean, if you say like every local election's fake, like, I don't really believe that, because when you look at 2020, you can see there's like 5 major states that had very obvious rigged voting. But other states, Ohio being one of them, like Trump won that state. And the statistics is Ohio almost always nails who becomes president. Also, Trump won a bunch of counties. So that shows that, did the deep state rig those counties for Trump, but rig more counties for Biden? Like, does our votes even get thrown in there? Like, and I think the thing is, like, if you say that, okay, local elections matter, then that means voting matters. But some people want to say like voting doesn't matter at all. Like, it's your right to not vote. It's your right to vote. But, you can't like bully me into not voting. And, that's my position.
Checks out. Rufus, tell them our theory about what's going to happen in November.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a long-standing theory, but I mean, I feel like the only way that they're going to get everyone to open their eyes to it is put up like just the most horrible candidate, and
which they did,
even worse
Yeah.
than dementia Biden,
Yeah.
and have Trump lose to that person again.
And everything that we were watching, well, not all of us were watching, right? But I mean, they were they're closing the curtains at voting places and stuff, putting up boards. Like, it was so over the top. It was already there to be in your face. Like, hey, aren't you going to get mad and say, hey, this isn't right? And you got a guy that's out there yelling, you're stealing the election. You know what I mean? And people are like, wow, they really are. That's what are they doing? That does look weird. I've never seen that before, ever. But whatever. It's no big deal. Oh, and then they stopped the election at 2 a.m. You know what I mean? There was so much over the top stuff to try to say, hey, something's wrong here. Get pissed off.
Well, I can say that even if Q's real 100% and it's run by people, and people have high hopes, and if I try to put myself in the frame of mind of a member of the Q unit doing it and saying, okay, we're gonna wake people up in 2020, we're gonna wake them up, and then they don't, like, you don't just give up. Right. You keep going. Like, even if everything you planned and you thought you were right and it was culminating at that and it didn't happen, you would still keep going and trying to do it. So, I mean, again, I can see it either way, man. I can see it
like
either
your
way.
point that you made is kind of similar to when Trump wanted Mike Pence to halt the voting. Like, he had every right to do that, but the media framed it as like a conspiracy, to overthrow the election. And so I think Trump set it up where like certain things could have happened. Even the thing I mentioned where Biden said he'd get a mysterious illness step down, like, that was technically before he got sworn in. So if we were a sane nation, we'd be like, I don't want a president who's just going to get mysteriously sick. And like, that's so stupid. But there's a lot of bad people still in power, and then you have to go and to like extremes almost, which I really hope they don't continue it for 4 more years with like, Kamala. But
I don't know how much more people can hold on though.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't.
It just
I don't know.
depends. Okay, this is my theory. I've got two theories. So, I mean, if this is the end and they want to stir everything up into a giant division civil war, then Trump will lose to Kamala. If not, I mean, just like you were alluding to earlier, her past is so horrible. I mean, either that's going to come out before the election, which I feel like at that point it would be they have Biden step down, Kamala as the standing president, and then obviously everything is going to come to the limelight while she's president, and then something happens at the convention and they bring up another candidate, whether that be Hillary or Big Mike or whoever it is, because that's the only one that would be somewhat believable if he lost to them, so it depends on like where we're at in the plan here.
Michelle Obama has already said she doesn't want to do it, and I mean the memes would be way too vicious. Like they can't allow that.
You said she.
That's why Hillary. That's why I'm thinking Hillary.
Well,
Motherfucker got a lap hog on her.
Hillary already lost once, so it's like,
right.
She's probably the most powerful of them, meaning evil. But like she already lost once, and she didn't run in 2020. So like, people complain like, oh, Trump didn't lock her up, but he basically ended her political career. Like otherwise, she'd be in the Biden administration. Like there's no real explanation as to why she just suddenly dropped out and is not in government right now. So then who else? Like Kamala is just too dumb to be the leader. So they're Gavin Newsom, he's had the terrible California.
God,
it's like, who do they have?
Damn that dude.
Some new guy who's just like,
I swear, I hope they get the astronaut.
Oh, that would be so
dude,
dope.
I feel like there's no way
we
can
and
lose.
I know I'm like, oh, here we go.
Yes, dude, it's right.
Come on.
If it's Kamala too, that's perfect, man, because she's the space commander. We can put her feet to the fire on that one, and everyone will see right through it.
He had a super weird mask. Did you see that one where it was a vein going like all the way back?
What's his name? Mike Kelly?
Mark Kelly, yeah.
Mark Kelly?
He was the husband of Gabby Giffords, who got shot by Jared Loughner.
Oh, wow.
He's been involved in a lot of odd connections.
I was actually just watching a cartoon with my kids, and he showed up in the cartoon, and he goes, I've spent this much time in space, and I still don't know what it is. I was like, whoa, that's awesome.
You should have rewound it and freaking screen recorded it, man. Damn.
If they get the astronaut in there, it's on.
It's over.
Speaking of double agents, I just have to ask, do you think Neil deGrasse Tyson is like a secret flat earth?
Him and what's his name? Oh God, I'm drawing a blank. The Real Good Science and I go in a nanosecond. No, the
Pettit, Don Pettit.
Don Pettit. I think him, dude. How can that not turn people on to freaking flat Earth?
Yeah,
it's called Real Good Science.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's the one who said they lost the technology, or is that a different?
Yeah, no, that's him. And it's a painful process to build it back again. Says it all like he literally sounds like he should be wearing a helmet. It's bad, man.
Dude, I feel like he's just like a sentient version of what's his name with the wheelchair. They just roll him out there and he says whatever, and they're like, if we didn't tell you what to say, just ad-lib it.
Well, the craziest thing about Hawking, I mean, even besides his Epstein Island rumor, I don't even want to get into that.
Dude,
but I swear Jeranism forced them to get rid of him because he was exposing how he was, his disease. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, he's dead now.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Speaking of disease, you know what I can't get past? What is the deal with Trump's dad?
Trump's
that's-
what?
And mom, man, those
his
Oh.
He
head's
looks
weird.
like
I
a
feel like
mutant alien, man.
I feel
like, what is
it
going
literally
on there?
reminds me of like a Quentin Tarantino zombie movie. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
his ears are like in behind his cheeks. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is that, dude?
I know.
Well, the mom looks like Trump, but with like longer hair.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah,
No.
that's where he got. I said that today to my wife. I was like, "That's where he got his looks from, right there."
Yeah.
Mom.
Well, thank
I mean,
God.
There's so many crazy theories.
That takes
like,
that joke, like, thank God you look like your mother, to like a whole nother level.
I mean, that's why I think like, the Trump time travel theories persist, because it's like there's something definitely
I was gonna
odd
ask you.
about him. He has a weird connection with like his family with Tesla and all that stuff. So
Time travelers keep
And
trying to
buying
kill me.
John DeLorean's estate.
Yes, there's so
Yeah.
many. What about the
So-
Ingersoll Lockwood thing too? You
That's
know,
just ridiculous.
Yeah, what do you think about all that? Do you think that was kind of planted in there as like
well,
yes
I
and
don't
no?
personally believe in time travel. So somebody has to prove time travel to me.
Well, what the hell are you
Um,
doing here, bro? What the hell?
Why are you in the
kidding.
phone booth? We traveling.
I mean, just shh. I don't
Yeah,
either.
Write it
don't
down.
either.
Ed.
Shh.
no,
Write
I
it
told
down.
I told somebody the other day on X, like, I just don't think my brain. Maybe I'm not
No.
at that level. You know,
No.
my
There's
brain's not
too
ready to
many
accept that yet.
Improbabilities. There's too many.
or the more
and-
rational thinker would think, maybe they found this book and then they decided to name a bunch of characters after the person in the book.
Or maybe
Yeah.
it was inserted into the past in Google and nobody would know the difference.
That's right.
Because
That
have you
as
ever
well.
heard anyone say, I have a hard copy of this and here it is?
Right. Yeah. Like before 2016, people weren't running around like, look at this author. Look what he wrote. And you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
You can insert anything. Look
in
what they
there.
did with Mandela. They changed everything. I don't care what anybody says. You can call me stupid and discredit everything I do because of it. There's something to that. There is something there. I mean, I don't give a fuck if you disagree, man. I don't even care. No, I'm just kidding. But there's definitely something there because there's things I remember in my own memory and
Yes.
that are different. So there's something there, and I have my own crazy theories, but nobody cares about my theories. So I don't know. How do you feel about it?
There's something there, man. The silver leg.
Not
the
you,
Ed
motherfucker. No, I'm
McMahon.
just kidding.
Yeah, I know. I just want
I'll
to
say-
add on, like, look
I
at
I'll
know.
say I think Mandela effects are very entertaining, and I follow up on any new ones. Okay, here's like my take on one. Not, this is just one, so I'm not. So the Darth Vader, like, Luke, I am your father. Like, when you go and listen to that, like throughout the dialogue, he's saying like, Luke this and Luke that, and then when Luke says, like, you killed my father, he says, no,
No.
I am your father.
Yeah.
But outside of the movie, it makes more sense to say, Luke, I am your father. And like,
Mhm.
when you're listening to it with the Darth Vader voice, and if you're in the theaters, there's not much difference between no, Luke,
Yeah.
it's
I agree
like-
with that 100%, and I respect that you're looking at it as a critical thinker. But this is what I'll tell you: until Fruit of the Loom, I didn't know what a cornucopia was.
right.
And the one
That
that
one I
Rufus
agree with.
told me, the
Well,
one
I
that
agree with
Rufus
that
told
one.
me, which I
do?
never
All
knew about the 007 movie or whatever. I never knew that one, but that one to me is a pretty solid one that like
Yeah.
it makes no sense the way it is now. It doesn't make
Right.
sense.
I mean,
So there-
the Berenstein, like
That
Berenstain,
that one
that
too.
one's a
It's
pretty
not
good one.
Berenstein, bro.
This
I mean
is-
that could be just because maybe the Jews now don't want to be associated with
come on.
bears or something. I don't know. But
Risky business. The glasses. That was like it,
the
right?
Halloween
Yeah.
costumes.
No,
are-
dude,
remember-
Richard Simmons definitely wore a headband.
I know.
I swear, like, there's no way he
Yes.
didn't wear a headband,
See,
bro.
there's too many, man.
And
Yeah,
I don't
that-
know how nobody ever noticed the silver leg in Star Wars, and all my characters that I had with that had the
Yeah.
gold leg.
I just
It's
wasn't enough.
ridiculous.
And
Star,
no,
enough
but
of a
I
Star Wars
wasn't
fan,
a
but
Star Wars fan either, ever. But I will tell you, I am somebody who notices shit, and I will give you an example. So, we all know the Tootsie Pop commercial with the owl, right?
Yeah.
We all know that. The how many licks does it take? So
One, I
the
think.
owl eats it, and bites it, and then he hands him the stick. Like, say this was the thing, right?
Mhm.
He's like 3, bites it off, and he hands it to him like this. And the
Upside
kid
down,
grabs
right?
it, and stares at the wrong end and is like, "Oh, it's gone." So I noticed shit like that. So don't tell me I didn't notice a fucking silver leg on an all gold robot. I would have fucking noticed it. And I wasn't even a Star Wars fan, but I would have noticed it.
Now you know what there's a comic book store next to me, and I know that they have a ton of the like original Star Wars action figures that they released. I got to go recheck the C-3PO and see what color
better
his
go.
leg is.
Better
I'm gonna go check that out for you,
There's
Rufus.
too many that are just.
I have
Yeah,
a quick thing.
and like it's a fun thing, but imagine if I was like, no, you can't believe it this way. So it's like,
No, me
there's
too.
things
Yeah.
that are distractions, but a lot of life is a distraction. So it's like whatever you want to look into, and look into it with an open mind. The more the merrier. Conspiracy
Dude,
theories.
I
I
a
agree.
lot of it.
Totally
maybe I'm-
off. Sorry, Bill. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was gonna say it was a quick little thing. Like I think a lot of it's part of a test as well. I think it can definitely separate the sheep. That'll just go along with anything. Like yesterday, like he was saying, he had a headband on, and then he dies, right? And then all of a sudden he doesn't have a headband anymore. Like
Dude.
this all happened within the last month.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, can we all agree that wasn't a
Yeah.
Mandela effect until he died? Then all of a sudden people are noticing him. Like, wait, no, yeah. I think this is kind of part of the test, kind of part of the deal a little bit.
I see what
So
you're saying.
I
you
think
see
the
what I'm saying?
opposite.
Like,
Yeah.
and like a litmus test almost.
I think
at
it's
this
the
point.
opposite.
I don't want to get initiated into some fucking secret society that I don't know about, bro.
No, I think it's. To
I think
see-
it's the byproduct of the bad people trying to fuck with our past and trying to screw with our Akashic records and poking holes in them, and it's fucking stuff up because they don't know how to do it yet. That's what I think. Because I'm crazy.
And the
I'm gonna
Akashic
fight you over
record's
it, Bill.
fucking real,
I
bro.
don't know. See, I'm gonna butt heads with you because you and
I
I
love
went
it.
on this path together. We went on this path together.
I know.
Okay,
That's why it's so good.
this was like laid out for us, and we weren't the only ones either in the order that we did it as well. And it was right around the election. All that stuff was right then
Well,
when it was happening and being introduced.
Let me
So-
backpedal for 1 second. I will say Mandela is what led me to Flat Earth because it was a video
Correct.
about Mandela that the same person posted something about Flat Earth, and I literally felt stupid for being freaked out by Mandela because I was like, they posted a Flat Earth video. They're clearly idiots. Ha ha ha. Let me watch this. Tell Bill about it at work tomorrow, and we'll laugh about it. And that is the night that my life changed forever. That's the night
Then-
that led
yeah,
me on
then-
the path to finding
were
a
already
creator.
spooked. We were already
all of
spooked
it.
by the Mandela thing. We were all messed up from that, dude. And
Yeah.
then,
Dude,
that happened.
when I first heard about Mandela, I thought it was bullshit. And I watched some videos.
So did
I was
I.
like, well, because I was just so ingrained that our reality is just physical and how impossible that would be. Every single one, 9/11, when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Mandela, stupidest thing I've ever heard. Flat Earth,
Oh.
stupidest thing I've ever heard.
I was
Like, I
14
gotta check
going
it
down
out.
the
I'm gonna check it
9/11
out.
rabbit hole, and I was excited about that shit.
You're 14?
yeah,
Huh?
he was a young buck.
I was
Wow.
14 when I watched Loose Change for the first time.
Yeah, what year?
Nice.
Death? What year were you born?
91.
91. Yeah.
What
so
year
he's-
did you watch Loose Change? So that would be 2005.
Yeah, it was right
Yeah.
around
That was right around. So we were watching it together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and
what
I
you said
brought.
when
I
you
told.
said-
I told my dad about it, and he was like, "Hey, bro, you don't need to be looking into this shit."
You're too young for this.
So
Yeah.
good.
But I
Dude,
never
that's
even
what-
used to
I mean,
look into anything. I would just
Yeah, I mean-
automatically just say it was bullshit and
And I got to say, like,
move on.
some people, it kind of messes with their head. But I mean, it seems like maybe you were just born to do that, because not a lot of people get into it that early. And you seem, completely like,
I mean, I wouldn't call me a pinnacle of mental health or nothing, but we're doing all right.
Is anyone these days?
Right.
my one friend who introduced it to me, like, he was whacked out, he was kind of suicidal, and I was like, oh, I don't, like don't do that. Like it's bad for your health. But you get into it. Everybody has to like kind of experience it on their own. So it's good to take breaks, of course, but to be able to handle that, I think not everybody can do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure.
Is this
We're
book
getting
out?
there. I think we're getting there.
I want to talk about this book because now I want
Oh,
a
yeah.
copy. I don't know how would one obtain a copy of that
Obtain,
book?
yes.
I normally don't uh, want to sell it over Amazon because I've sold books and they like don't give me the money, but I'll drop down the price to like whatever like the printing cost is. Um, if you just type in Patriots in Control, I mean, I'm the only crazy person who's going to write a book about that, so I'm pretty sure
Send me
nothing
the
else is
link
going to
and
come
we'll
up.
put it
Okay, yeah,
under. I don't know if YouTube will let us, but Rumble will for sure let us. And
yeah,
Rumble's where we get the majority of our votes or our views. So you'll be good.
yeah. And I use a pen name anyway. It's I have kids, and I'm not really like in the spotlight. I don't really care about that. So it's like you know, once my kids are maybe a little older, I'll just whatever, because this is I think something I've been doing for a while, and but like you learn, and this is really the first like actual theory that I've worked on. Like everything else, jump on flat Earth, 9/11. Like this is the first one where I was like doing it almost all
From the
myself.
beginning.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, by yourself. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, because I
That's
got a
cool.
couple of people I'd love to send that to. It just anonymously pops up in their mail. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like comes in.
Yeah, hold it
Oh,
up again. Hold it up for sure and tell people where they can get it because honestly, I feel
oh,
horrible,
perfect.
but I didn't
The
even
cover's
know you
great.
had a book before this.
yeah.
Oh, the cover's great, dude.
I
The
know.
cover is awesome, dude.
It's perfect. It's like
There's I'll show you the
Are these
chapter
not in
where
Barnes and Noble, bro? What's going on with that? Why they didn't want it in there?
No, I'm buying that shit for my buddy at work
so
who sends me all the Q stuff.
unfortunately, it's too expensive to do color, but I've got
right,
like, the pictures and all this kind of
nice.
stuff. Um,
So good
I
because it's
also
all
did
the stuff
some
that we see online, right? But
like photo analysis.
Yeah.
Like the highest
but
photo analysis I got
it's great.
was 90% for the new and old, which 90% sounds high, but when you do like this one over here,
Mm-hmm.
with like the current Biden, you get 100%. So
Yeah.
if you have 100% match, obviously it's a match. 90% seems kind of high, but it still seems like something's wrong. And then some of
Dude,
them
if
are
someone
like
told you you had a
50.
10% chance of winning the lottery, you would play it immediately. So
Yeah,
10% is a big
yeah.
discrepancy. It's a
And
big
some of them
thing.
are like 70, 60%. So
Yeah.
Nice.
There
it's
you
just,
go. So,
thrown in there. I mean, it's not a definite one way or another, but, you know, if people say like, oh, it's just age and plastic surgery, but there's multiple Bidens. So, you know,
you don't change bone structure with plastic surgery. And you definitely don't like I showed my wife the other day a video, maybe even today, of Biden giving us a video they released two on the same day. One was live and one was a video they released for his campaign. And they're totally different. And I know somebody's going to say, "Well, they didn't record them on the same day because one was live." Even if they were a month apart, it's not the same dude. It is not the same person.
mm,
And anybody who can look at that and go, that you're just crazy. There's something wrong with you. You have a veil over your eyes. I mean, I guess that's the way to say it. You have a
yeah.
veil over your eyes because
The earlobe
it's
connectors.
Yeah, dude.
Where your
Earlobes.
earlobes connect.
I always
That
look
shit's
at the nose, the earlobes, and the teeth. And
and the
earlobes
chin.
just don't. Earlobes get
I was gonna
floppier
say,
as you get older. They don't
don't go
fuse
from a
themselves
nutsack
to your
to four of them
face.
in a day.
What'd
He
you say,
had the
Bill?
nutsack. He had the nutsack chin. Remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
On the plane. And now the other day he's walking like that video I was talking about where he's walking onto the plane of nobody. He had the chin. It was like this. It was just like went to his chest.
Yeah.
It was
It's now that the whole chin is down here instead of like right here.
yeah.
The neck
So
chin, the fat.
But I will say people are posting pictures like, look how much taller he is. And I know that in one thing, like definitely
Biden.
it was correct and it was weird. But other ones are like, look, that is perspective. Like, don't try to make it
Yes.
something it's not. There's a
Which
few
you know
of them
nothing
that are
about,
like,
Fleur.
look, he was close to the he he was close to the same
All right.
height as his wife here, and here he's much taller. Like, he's also 4 feet closer to the camera.
Yeah.
So don't
Yeah.
do
That one
that
video,
because
though, it seems like he was taller than Hunter
no,
Biden.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That one's legitimate, but when
Right.
they stack all these other ones on top of it that are not legitimate, it makes
Yeah.
the legitimate one look like bullshit. And that's
Right.
what I hate. Like, we don't need hoops. We don't need to jump through fire hoops. We don't need all this bullshit because there's enough real shit there that it's proof. We have the proof. So we don't need to like fabricate shit. So please,
Yeah.
when it comes to that, and I don't even know how I feel about the pictures of the bullets whizzing by. Have you seen how there's another one now that whizzes by his fucking chest or something before?
I don't think I
and
saw that one.
and there's the audio breakdown we talked about where there's like 11 shots now, and it's
Yeah.
just like,
And the guy who took the
hold on,
bullet
Death, hold
whizzing
on,
by?
hold on. No, I'm sorry. I'm so tired of it, man. I'm so tired of it.
Well,
What were you saying?
you gotta
Sorry.
you gotta ride the positive energy, and
No,
like,
dude, in my life, I'm happy, but with this, man, with this. But go ahead. Sorry.
well, yeah. Let's hear what Death has to say, and then I'll chime
Well, the
in.
guy who took the picture of the bullet whizzing by is the same dude who took the picture of the dude whispering in George Bush's ear about the
And another
planes hitting
one,
the
yeah.
towers.
Another
Really?
one too. Yeah. Oh yeah, you know that. Yeah, the literally the guy who what Death just said, the guy who took that picture of the first one we saw whizzing
The
by,
first one,
like
yeah.
that went behind him, was the same guy who took the picture of George Bush having the dude whisper in his ear about 9/11.
That guy definitely would have the equipment to catch the bullet whizzing by. I'll say
Yes.
that.
There was
That's
another
true.
one he did that was big too. It was another big moment, and I can't remember what it is, and I'm bummed. But like today, for the first time, I saw another one. There was a video slowed down of one whizzing by in the front of him, and I mean, dude,
I haven't
man,
seen that one.
It
I gotta
looks,
see that.
It looks real, man. It looks so real.
Well, and CNN, or I think it was CNN. One of them was like the first live stream they ever did of his rally, which is pretty suspicious. So, yeah, they seem to be ready for whatever was going to happen.
Oh, they were on. Everyone was on their mark for sure.
That's like the most coy way to put it.
Well, Bill says if you believe that shit was real, leave.
Yeah, I mean, well, it was obviously
Like they see
staged.
you see how he did that, right? Like he's showing you right now. Okay, he's like they seem to be pretty ready for
Yeah.
that, and people are like, "Oh yeah,
Mhm.
hello." They seem to be extremely ready. Like that's the point, man. At what point, people? Come on, man. You know what I mean? Like we need to get pissed off because here's the thing, okay? Whether it's a psyop, which we know it is, and whether it's a show and all that,
Positive or
it's-
negative, yes.
right? It's right. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter.
Sure.
They're lying, right? They're lying.
Yeah.
We need to be pissed about that. Why are we being lied to? Whether it's being lied to because that's not Biden, or whether it be lied to because we almost, went in camps, or maybe we still will. It doesn't matter. They're lying. We need to be pissed off. We need to be out in the streets, not going like this. Look at this picture. Well, look at this picture. Like we're doing
Yeah.
it wrong. We're
And
doing
why
it
are
wrong.
we
I truly
paying
believe-
to be lied to? Paying
Right.
to be lied
Why
to.
are we right? Why are we compliant? That is the point. We are always compliant. We're like, oh, but maybe this time we're gonna vote it differently, and yada, like
I have an
we're
answer.
missing the
You're not
picture.
going to like it, but I have an answer as to why we are compliant. If you want to hear it,
Go
real
for it.
quick. People are lazy. People are lazy, man, and I include myself in that.
Yeah.
There's days when I'm lazy too. They make life so hard. They make you have a job to have to work your ass off to pay this bill and that bill and pay your mortgage, and you have to do this and you have to take care of your kids, and you have to go to the doctor, and you have to do this and you have to do that. And they make it a hamster wheel that's going, and not a hamster wheel that you're pushing, a hamster wheel that's going, and you have to keep up with it. So you don't pay attention to any of this. You don't
Yeah.
pay attention, so you just go. You're grasping every moment for like what's the best thing that fits to keep you going, and you're not paying attention to all the rest, and it's fucking horrible, man. It really is. I
But I
hate
think
it.
with the rise of alternative media, it's at least giving people something other than the mainstream control.
Yes.
That's
Great
the
point.
real thing,
I was
pulling
going to
them
say,
down.
us being here talking right now, we are doing something more than the average Joe, right?
Mhm.
We at least got the balls to come up here and say it out loud
Yeah.
and look
Yep.
like the crazies, right? I mean, we're
Yeah.
running around telling everybody that the Earth is flat. You know what I mean? Like, just think about that, dude.
Yeah.
The balls it takes to do
Well,
that.
and I was going to say, like, so if you think about society, like, these people vote Republican, these people vote Democrat. There's only like 1 or 2% who actually control society through like banking and stuff. And then there's only like 1 or 2% that are like us that's actually aware of everything going on. So even if
Yeah.
we don't have the same power financially as these bankers, like how many bankers know the truths that we know? So, my message is like your mind is powerful, and if you feel defeated, you're going to be defeated. But don't underestimate the power that you have, and that's what
Yes.
helps, win.
So
I agree, man, and I'm glad to hear that you have a positive outlook on it. Like,
I'm the
because
most
I see
positive.
you.
I think that's
I,
why people hate me.
it's true. We've seen
they
them
they
work.
do. They hate light, man. Darkness
Yeah.
wants to put light out all the time. That's how
Yeah.
it works, man.
Yeah,
And
they
that's what
love.
kind of we barely talked about it. So from day one on Twitter,
Yeah.
we're at 2 hours, so we're gonna have to wrap it up soon for sure. But
Yeah, that's
since day
fine.
one on Twitter, you and I were interacting before we had any followers or anything. And I remember the day I was at work and you started a space. And I felt so bad because I couldn't jump in and talk because there was a bunch of noise around me, all this
Mm.
going on. But I sat there and listened to you for like how long? 30, 45 minutes or whatever. And you were just laying out facts. And I was like, I was hitting the thing, like, yeah, yeah, like wanted to do it. I was the only one
Yeah.
in there. And it was awesome. And since that day, we've been friends or whatever you want to call it, like always talking back and forth. But that was a big thing. Like, that helped me realize that there's people on here who agree with me on flat earth, but that we can still like think differently and talk about other things. And that was a big thing for me. So I appreciate
Yeah.
that you did that, and that you still, because a lot of people, when they would have saw that I was the only one there listening, would have been like, okay, sorry, man, I'm not doing this. But you still went through it, man. You still went through it as if there was 10,000 people listening, and I respected the shit out of that. And I just want you to know that. It was awesome. You just
Hell yeah.
laid it out. It was cool as shit. And I was
Awesome.
at work listening.
Right. And I'd like to thank you guys for just having me on here because, that
dude.
motivated me to come out and, stop. I wrote this book, but, nobody's reading it. And you got to,
Oh,
you got to
you're
bring
gonna
out
see
the
some great
ideas, whether
great
you get
now.
attacked from or not. And it's, so thank you guys for giving me this opportunity.
Dude,
Yes.
Hell
it's
yeah,
hard
dude.
to do, and I can tell you that. So when we first started the podcast, none of us showed our faces. We just had, which Rufus isn't tonight, but I think it's because he's using his phone and he's probably somewhere. But either way, it was like before we decided to, it was a discussion amongst us. It was a
Yeah.
lot of, it was like almost a month or more even of
It
going
was
back
more.
and forth. Yeah,
Mhm.
deciding if we were going to do it or not. Should we? So to take that step, it's a big thing, man, because a lot of people, you know how it is. People are going to tell you you should have never been born, all this, all that. So to show your face, it's a big step, and obviously send us the link for your book and I will do it. And I just, before we move on and we say the other stuff, I seriously want to take the time and screen record all 2 hours of this, of you, just you, and turn it into a time lapse, because the best sunset has been going on in the background this whole time, man. There's it's a Neapolitan sky back there right now, and it's just
Yeah.
been from the
Beautiful.
thing all the way down, man. You are in an awesome spot. The birds, the insects, all of that, man. I I I would say I hope you appreciate it, but I really feel like I don't even need to say that. I feel like you do. Like, you're the type of person that does appreciate
man.
where you are.
And I mean, yeah, you know my feelings towards you. And Bill, I feel like this is the first time, face to face. I feel like I'm good cop, you're bad cop. We say the same things, but
Yes.
Yeah, man. No,
Um,
I think we're aligned on a lot of stuff, and these dudes know what's up. You know what I mean? And I'm glad we can get that the both sides of everything, because you got to think of it that way, And I've been through that. I've been through the whole dread and doubt and all that. But then there's just certain things, like we said, that there's like okay, I'm not crazy, and I think all of us need to agree we cannot think we're crazy. We can't do
Right.
that, because that's how they
can't
win.
gaslight yourself.
Right.
That's our enemy's job.
Yeah, there's enough. Exactly. There's
We
enough
go
of that
through
going
enough
on.
of that
Yeah.
on our own.
And I also want to say, like, Death, it's interesting to know that you've been at this so long, and Rufus too. I suck at like video stuff, so I have so much respect for people who know how to like put videos and stuff together, because I'm terrible at it. So I definitely, the fact that you guys are just all together as a team, very powerful, and I'm very happy to be a part of it.
I'm just so stoked you were able to make it finally, dude. Because like you
Yeah,
said,
for
it's
real.
from day one. You've always been there. You
I know.
and you pick and choose your battles. And I'd watch
Yeah.
it. And I'm like, oh, he's good. Oh, he's good. And yeah, just thank you so much for coming on and giving us the time. And like I said, we're gonna get that link out. I want to get that book. I want that book.
Yeah, no,
personally.
I'm gonna
Yeah, for
buy
sure.
it. Tell us where
May
we can
want a
buy it.
couple of
I will
if I can-
pay whatever the
Yeah.
retail price is for it.
Yeah,
Let us
dude.
know.
No, yeah, we don't need any special discounts and whatnot. None of that jazz.
I mean,
jazz.
if you could sign it, that'd be cool.
Hey.
I don't know if I'd be able to do that,
I
because
want-
technically we're shipped through
I know
Amazon.
it just comes from someone
Yeah.
else. I know. It just messes with me,
One day, maybe.
man.
Well,
One day.
I guess it's that time, right?
That's where
All
you say
right.
death, fade it out. So yeah, man, I feel like we could talk about everything forever.
Yeah.
and
I'll definitely come on again, because we got
Yes.
a lot.
That's happening.
Oh hell
Oh,
yeah,
we'll
dude.
do it right before the election. Like
What about
maybe maybe
we
even
mention-
live streaming election night. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh,
we
that'd be
met-
crazy.
That would be great.
Can we mention the next week thing? Maybe. You could
Oh yeah,
possibly-
next week is our 1 year anniversary, episode 52. One a
So-
week for 52
Nice.
weeks. That's 1 year. So
Good
we're
job,
gonna
guys.
We'll be
gonna
live,
be,
right?
live streaming. Yes,
Yes.
next Saturday at what time, Rufus? 8 to 11.
8 Eastern.
8 Eastern to 11. We'll be going.
Hell
So if
So-
we have, maybe
Yeah, if
pop-
you're around and you want to pop in, just
you don't have
jump
to
in the chat and we'll send you the thing and you
Okay.
can hop in the stream.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. It was a great conversation, gentlemen. Nothing short of amazing.
Hell
And
yeah.
I love each and every one of you.
Thank
Same
you so much
here.
for coming
There,
by, man.
Name.
And watching. Thank you. Awesome.
Peace.